everybody, welcome to the Amok Studio, and today I thought I would do a little bit on the hydraulic press. So kind of a cool tool Tuesday. I was asked how I use my press to cut shapes out a couple weeks ago, and my preferred method is with pancake dies. If you're not familiar with a pancake die, it's a tool hardened steel die and has my shape. This was a skull that I used for skulls. It's cut at an angle so that when these two are pressed down, it cuts. And I'll give you a little demo. This one was actually made to cut through street signs, believe it or not. Let's see. Hang on. Okay. I'm just going to take this piece of street sign and you sandwich it between the die. Not right there. Oh, I need another piece of steel. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. And there I have my little skull shape. Doesn't look like one right now, but when you got some teeth in there and eyes. Let's see. I'm stuck on that part now. Let's get a hammer. Knock that off. Okay. So that's a pancake die. And Dar Shelton made these. He's awesome at cutting these dies, and I will put his info in the description below. But also, I have tried my hand at making dies myself, and here's a little tiny moth that I made. Cuts a much thinner metal than that previous one. But I took this class, I think it was called Making Multiples with Jane Redmond. If you ever get the opportunity to take her class, I highly recommend it. So every once in a while, I'll make one. They are time consuming. But if you have a shape that you use over and over in your jewelry, this is a great way to do it. And if you don't have the press, you know, if you had your steel blocks, you could still do this and sandwich it between there and hammer. But great tool, pancake die. Okay. The next thing I thought I would show you is when I want to make shapes that have a puffed out kind of look. I will take plexiglass, and this just has the protective paper on there. I don't peel it off, but it's just clear plexi. And again, a skull. So I just take my jeweler's saw and cut out a shape that I want. And then again, you'd put it with your metal. And then a lot of times I'll use, this was just a rubber floor mat, but you can buy different like polyurethanes and rubbers to use with the press, and this will squish down through your metal and through the shape. And I bought all those things from Rio Grande. They're part of the Bonnie Doon accessories. But if you don't have plexi, you could even use a block of wood. And I've cut shapes out. And this was a cat. So I cut him out of copper and domed him, and then went back in my copper and cut out the face and enameled it. But that was just from a block of wood. Here's more plexi that I've cut out. Again, skull. But then I just kind of get that nice domed effect with having my metal, whoops, pushed through, just using the mat. Actually, let's press a little skull. I've got a little scrap piece of brass here, and it just fits. Just barely fits. But let's try it. And sometimes, like this, with this metal just fitting, I might tape it down. We're going to hold our fingers crossed and see if that works. Let's take my rubber mat and then a harder plastic. Put that in there. Oops. And see what we get. It usually takes a few presses, and you might need to anneal the metal in between pressings. And that brass was hard. We'll see if we even got anything. Oh, I did. Yeah. It puffed up really well for that brass being hard. So you could just keep taking some different rubbers, and yeah, I should have taped that down. See, I've got a gap. Because it will pull in your metal, so you do need to have a good amount around your design before you press. But that just kind of gives you an idea. And the third thing I'd like to show is this piece of plexi, and I took round burrs and I just drilled in slightly, so they're like little dome shapes. And I've just got a real thin piece of 24 gauge silver. And this one, actually I don't want to mess up, so I'm going to tape it down. Okay, taped my metal down over the little holes that I want to press into. Slide some rubber, and I've got another hard piece. Put that in there. Let's see what we get. You can just kind of see it starting to go in. Okay. I also have, that I got from Rio, these little tiny chips of, I think it's polyurethane. I'd have to double check. But I like using those to really squish in some detail. So I'm just going to stack that on top. Yeah, that went in a little bit better. Got one little dome that didn't quite get as much as the other, so I'm just going to pile up the chips right over that area specifically. Nice. There you can see I've got nice little raised domes. So that's just a fun way to use the press. I don't use it near as much as I used to. I really should get back into it. It's a fun tool. Can do lots of things with it. So that was just a real quick look at the hydraulic press. If you have any other questions or things you'd like me to see demonstrate with the press, just let me know. Either here in the comments below or over on my Instagram. If I've done it, I would definitely be happy to share a process, and hope you enjoyed the hydraulic press. We'll see you next week.